one. Here we go. Monster game, 12:30 tomorrow, 12:30 Pacific, Auburn and Washington. Two top 10 teams collide. It was Auburn 3, down to 2, down to 1.5. There's 1.5 right now. 48.5 the total. To me, can I trust Jake Browning in this game, Teddy? Now, all the hype last year. 2 years ago, Washington goes to the playoff, and Browning had 3,400 yards and 43 touchdowns. Last year, the offense struggled all season, only 19 touchdowns and 2,700 yards. They return a lot of guys. They return 9 starters on defense off the 10-3 season, but there were times where they really struggled on offense. Can these wide receivers, they lose Pettis, can these wide receivers get open against a good Auburn secondary? And also, the one thing I like, for whatever reason, Auburn's had problems in Atlanta. They've lost 2 in a row. And I got Chris Peterson, one of the best coaches, with time to prepare, all that time, scout the opponent, great in non-conference matchups when he was at Boise, and expect some trick plays and some gadget plays as well. But to me, can I trust Washington and Jake Browning here?
And that's the biggest concern. Look, the only way I can play this game is to take Washington plus the points. When you grade these two teams out, the Huskies aren't weaker than Auburn. I'll tell you that. You go position by position across the field. But as you mentioned, you have the issues with Jake Browning. Browning's got great career numbers, 29-11 as a starter. He's got a 78-24 career touchdown to interception ratio. The guy's played in a bunch of big games. But when you talk about Jake Browning stepping up against quality defenses, I'm telling you, we've been watching this guy. We're on the West Coast, Paul. We've seen Washington. Jake Browning has not stepped up and played his best against quality opposing defenses. Now they got Myles Gaskin back on the to run the football. They've got a pair of NFL caliber tackles and 4 offensive linemen back. There's a lot to think that they can run the football. They control the line of scrimmage. Browning may have a little bit more success here than he's had in other previous big games. But when you look at the strength of that Auburn defense, I mean, let's not forget, Auburn's the only team in the country to beat Georgia and Alabama last year. And when you look at the strength of that defense, they're loaded up front and they're loaded in the secondary. That's a problem, perhaps, for a Huskies offense that, while fairly dynamic, hasn't stepped up in class particularly well.
And they lose Johnson at running back, and I don't think they'll be able to run the ball against this solid Washington defense, and that puts the pressure on the O-line and Stidham. Can they protect Stidham? Because last year, 36 sacks allowed, and he was on his back a lot as well. To me, it seems like a close game, going to come down to a key turnover maybe, a big special teams play, Teddy, and I think it's going to be low scoring as they feel each other out in a big heavyweight showdown. ESPN playoff predictor. If Auburn loses, they give them an 8% chance to make the playoffs. Washington, a 54% chance with a win. And there are a lot of people just saying, forget it. Washington's going to win the Pac-12.
Well, I mean, this is Washington's chance on the national stage to show what they can do. Remember last year, Chris Peterson got into that spat with Kirk Herbstreit talking about the Pac-12 after dark, and no one on the East Coast is staying up to watch the West Coast or the Pac-12 games. Well, this is an afternoon game. It's at Auburn, 3:30 Eastern time, opening weekend, showcase weekend. This is a chance for Washington to prove they belong. It is more of a statement game for the Huskies than the Tigers. And of course, this is a Washington team that we don't see catching points very often. They were favored in every game that they played last year. Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the games.